Good evening. Welcome to the forum for candidates for the Paradise Valley Unified School District Board election. There are 7 candidates seeking your vote for 3 seats in the general election on November 8th. My name is Kerry Baker, President of the League of Women Voters of Metropolitan Phoenix, which is a local chapter of the League of Women Voters of Arizona. The League is an all-volunteer, nonpartisan organization, and we neither support or oppose any political party or candidate. Our mission is to empower voters. We envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate, where every citizen is registered, informed on all candidates and issues, and votes. Towards that end, since 1920, the League has provided education and advocacy on the issues of the day. A few words about the role of the League as a moderator for debates and forums. The League provides extensive training to League members who serve as moderators to ensure that League commitment to impartiality and nonpartisanship is strictly adhered to. As a trained League moderator, I was selected because I do not live in this district, do not vote in this school, and do not vote in the school board election. The questions posed to the candidates were provided by voters in this district, reviewed by both the UPC and the League. The purpose of this forum is for each member of the audience to hear from these school board candidates on why they would be the best choice for the Paradise Valley School Board. Our goals for this forum are fairness, civility, and engagement. First, a little housekeeping. Please take a moment to silence your cell phone. The restrooms are down these doors here to the left for you if you need to. And as a courtesy to all and to save important time for questions, the audience is asked to refrain from applauding or in any way demonstrating support or non-support for the candidates and their comments. Please just I'd like to introduce to you our timekeepers and helpers for this evening. Kat Cullen and Andrea Smosley from the League have the role of keeping us all on time. They have 3 signs they will be using: a 30-second sign, a 10-second sign, and a stop sign. We also have Candace England to my left here. She's my observer helper for this evening. Candidates, when you see the stop sign, please end your sentence immediately. This format for the evening is in 3 parts that I would like to explain. Part 1, opening remarks. I will read the 30-second introduction each candidate has submitted. Then, following our prearranged order for questions, which has been provided to the candidates, each candidate will be given 1 minute for opening remarks to tell you why that candidate should get your vote. Part 2, prepared questions. The League of Women Voters have 7 questions prepared for the evening. Each candidate will have no longer than 1 minute per question. When deemed appropriate, a 30-second rebuttal to another candidate may be offered by the moderator only if the candidate was called on by name during another candidate's response. Every candidate has the right to refuse a rebuttal. Part 3, closing remarks. I will close the questioning and candidates will have 1 minute for final remarks and why you should vote for them for the PVUSD board. We will begin closing statements at 8:05 to ensure that we end on time at 8:15. However, candidates may stay after the forum for 30 minutes to meet with the attendees and answer any other questions you may have. I'd like to go over the guidelines for the forum this evening. Candidates have been informed not to use their cell phones during the debate. We've asked the audience to silence your cell phones. The moderator will determine the order of speaking and responding. Candidates will remain quiet until called upon to speak. Time limits on responses will be strictly observed. The candidates have been informed of the cues to end their remarks. The recording of this debate is the property of the League of Women Voters, and permission must be sought to rebroadcast the debate in its portions or the entire broadcast. The moderator's role is to manage the forum fairly for all candidates and their audience, and to keep the discussion moving forward. Names were selected from a mathematical order numbering to ensure that every candidate has the opportunity to be first in answering at least 1 question. The candidates have all agreed in advance to be courteous and respectful of each other's points of view, refrain from interrupting one another, and avoiding personal attacks. The moderator's decision is final. I do reserve the right to pause or adjourn the forum, cut questions time short, to remind us that the guidelines and the expectation of civility and the behavior of the candidates and the audience. All of the candidates running for the 3 seats were invited. Unfortunately, Lisa Farr and Sandra Christensen had a scheduling conflict. We asked all of today's attendees to urge the candidates to respond to the invitation the league has issued to provide voters with answers to questions and information about their candidacy on the league website for voter education called vote411.org. Now I'd like to introduce your candidates and give each candidate 1 minute to make their opening remarks. Mrs. Kerry Baker. Kerry Baker is a mother of 6 and a former special education teacher. She has lived in PVUSD for 8 years, and her children attend both Pinnacle and Fireside. Ms. Baker currently volunteers in her children's classrooms and has served on district committees. As the mother of 6, Ms. Baker is an effective advocate for parents and students and offers valuable insights into the varied educational needs of the students across PVUSD. She is committed to the success of all students. In addition, she is a strong supporter of teachers and staff and is dedicated to teacher retention and ensuring teachers are respected as the experts in the classroom. Ms. Baker.
Thank you. Thank you also to United Parent Council, the League of Women Voters, for giving us this opportunity. Again, I'm Kerry Baker, and I am best for PV. I was born and raised in Phoenix, and I graduated with my bachelor's in both special education and general education. I taught self-contained students with both emotional disabilities and autism. In addition to that, my children have given me a very wide range of experience. I have a child who is self-contained gifted. I have one with an IEP, and I have experience raising children who identify as LGBTQ. My background in education, combined with my experience as a parent, gives me a unique perspective to bring to the governing board. I promise to be a voice for all students, an advocate for our teachers, and I will work collaboratively with parents and the community and other board and cabinet members to do what is best for our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Sheryl Evenson. Sheryl has been a community member for over 18 years. She raised both her children in Paradise Valley District. Both are now in college. Both are now college graduates. She was a science teacher for 25 years, even taught for a short time at Explorer Middle School. Her love for teaching and passion for student achievement remains even after retirement. Her goal as a board member is to make sure every student has the quality education that her children receive. Much has happened since 2020, and she believes it is time to put classrooms first and focus on all students. Ms. Evenson.
Thank you. My name is Sheryl Evenson. That's okay. It's always, they always get it wrong. My husband and I moved into this district almost a little over 18 years ago. I was a teacher for 25 years. I'm an Arizona native, born and raised in Prescott, Arizona. I went to Northern Arizona University, got my bachelor's degree. I've taught in public schools, I've taught in charter schools, I've taught at a private school, and I've also taught online college classes. I believe my husband and I, we raised our girls in this district. They are Pinnacle graduates. I've been a cheer mom. I've been a track mom. I've worked in the snack shack, and the experiences I had in this district, combined with my education, I think allows me to understand the needs of parents, the needs of students, the needs of teachers, and to put the classroom first. We need teachers in these classrooms, and we need students who are ready to graduate, so they are also able to be successful in college like my girls.
Thank you. Eddy Jackson. Mr. Jackson is a husband and father of 4 Paradise Valley students. He is an IT manager and active member in the community with experience serving on organization boards and coaching youth sports. He is running on the Parents for PV slate with Lisa Farr and Sandra Christensen. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. The governing board majority is failing the students and constituents of our district. We have declining enrollment and test scores. Since 2018, we have lost 3,000 students. and the revenue for those students. I want to quickly address a misconception about this campaign, that our Parents for PV slate allegedly doesn't support this district. That's not true. We are the only slate that has all our K through 12 students in PV schools. Since Matura was elected in 2018, administration spending has outpaced classroom instruction spending by more than 10%. We plan to redirect more money to the classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Matura. Ms. Matura, has lived in the Paradise Valley Unified School District for 18 years and has 3 children, 1 in college, 2 in K-12 schools. Susan currently serves as the president of the Paradise Valley Unified School District Governing Board and has served on the governing board for the past 3.5 years. She is passionate about public education. Susan has a background in business banking, lending, and website management. She is a former PTO president and longtime volunteer in her district and her faith community. Ms. Matura.
Hello, I'm Susan Matura. I'm also best for PV. I currently serve as the governing board president, and I'm seeking re-election. I've been involved in PV schools for the past 15 years in the classroom, PTO board, PTO president. I've also served in United Parent Council as a representative, VP of membership, VP of programming, and on some district committees as well. This past year, I even assisted in some classrooms to help with our teacher and staff shortages that we had in our district. Grew up in Massachusetts, went to Carleton College, and moved to Scottsdale 23 years ago. My husband and I have 3 kids, 1 in college, 1 in a private high school, and 1 in PV schools. I believe in school choice, and I know that parents make choices in education all the time to find what works for their family and their own children. Most families choose public schools, and this is why I spend my time volunteering and supporting PV schools. I'm proud that PV schools is here for all students, and I intend to continue that commitment.
Thank you. Tony Pantera. Tony Pantera is running for a 4-year term as governing board member of the Paradise Valley Unified School District. Having lived and worked in PVUSD, he recently retired from 43 years of teaching, including gifted education, special education, 3rd and 5th grade. In addition to teaching, Mr. Pantera has also adopted many leadership positions throughout his career, included but not limited to the district gifted summer school program, chairman of the 4 Peaks District Cub Scouts Roundtable, and positions within the Paradise Valley Education Association. Mr. Pantera.
Yes, thank you for letting me speak tonight. I became an educator largely due to my father, who was an educator, who passed away much too soon. He always told me, though, be yourself and give your gifts to others. I like to learn, and more importantly, I like to share my knowledge with others. It's what moves me, it's what motivates me, makes me want to do more. Now, governing board member is one who takes and gives educational support to the community. Teachers who facilitate education and all the people around them that make this benefit happen for everyone. I've got years of experience promoting education, advocating for public schools, and I know the passion it needs to help every student continue on their journey of excellence, which is the promise of the PVUSD school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. We will now proceed with part 2 of the program, prepared questions. We begin with question 1. What, and then we'll start with Ms. Matura. What is a governing board member's role and responsibility, and how does that role differ from the role of superintendent or cabinet?
Thank you. In general, the role of the governing board member is not to micromanage the district. The goal of the governing board should be to hire the right people, put them in the right positions, and then allow the policies that are in place to be there to help the district meet its goals. The governing board only works as a unit. It's a unit of 5 in our case, and individuals have no say unless they are with the board as a majority. And so decisions are not made by individual board members, but decisions are made by the board. And this is something when the board speaks, it is a decision of the board, not a decision that an individual person makes. And when decisions are made, the board then needs to move forward and continue to work as a group, no matter how the board, the vote was split. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kerry Baker, Ms. Baker.
Thank you. So my understanding is that the governing board hires, fires, does the budget, helps the district meet their goals, helps set policies to help students set up students for success, student outcomes. They monitor and approve the budget, salaries, purchases, curriculum, and then the cabinet and the superintendent then run committees, they execute that policy, they are involved in the day-to-day running of the district. They each have a certain area of the district that they cover, whether it be secondary education or elementary education, that sort of thing. And so, like Susan said, the governing board works together as a unit to set policy and budget, and then the cabinet and the superintendent then responsible for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Pantera.
Yes, the big difference is, board members are elected, okay, the superintendent's such a hired by the board. Our job is to set policy to make sure that the cabinet and the superintendent make that policy happen. We're supposed to help them to do that. But when we're setting policy, we've got to make sure that we're opening avenues of communication between ourselves and every stakeholder in the district to make sure our policies we set are truly representative of everybody here. And then do our best to give all the support we can to the people that are acting out the policies on every behalf.
Thank you. Mrs. Sheryl Evenson.
Evenson.
Forget it.
The role of a board member is to set policy. They also do the budget and they also do the calendar. I think those are the three most important roles of a board member. One thing to remember is that it's not the role of a board member to enforce that policy. That's why we have superintendent, cabinet members and principals and that sort of thing. And I think sometimes people might think that if they bring an issue to the board needs to act right away. But since it's a 5-person panel, it's not like one person is going to be enforcing policies, but it's up to the board to set those policies. And then it's up to the board to make sure that the right people are in place to enforce those policies and to make sure that the things that are important for the board are executed within the schools.
Thank you. Mr. Eddy Jackson.
The board works for the people. And the superintendent reports to the board. Some of the key responsibilities of the board is to set the policy and the budget for the district. And also to hire and manage the contract for the superintendent. And the key roles of the superintendent and the cabinet are to run the day-to-day business of the district.
Thank you. Question 2. What issues do you believe the district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? And what changes would you recommend? Start with Mr. Tony Pantera.
So the biggest problem now, I think, that the district has to address is all these new laws that have been passed by the state legislature that are handcuffing our teachers. We have to reevaluate the curriculum we have now and make sure we stay in line with that, especially some of the things that are trying for a parent can sue over anything they don't like about what's being taught in the classroom. It's very vague law, and we have to navigate that somehow in a legal manner and still move forward with the quality education we want to have here in this district. My recommendation to have some committees with parents throughout the district, every portion of the district, looking at these laws and comparing them to what we have going on right now at PVUSD.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Matura.
I'm proud that we have so many different programs in our district to align to different students' needs. We have the prep program, we have the career and technical education programs, we have a lot of special needs programs, we have gifted education. And I think a big part is helping students and parents find the programs that's going to align best with their own students and find their pathway. I would like to see us promote more of our CTE programs, so students know that there is an avenue for after high school where they can go directly to work and that they can be prepared immediately to be giving back to the community. I also want to see more commitment to our dual enrollment classes and CTE programs, and let parents know that from kindergarten on, so they know pathways to choose for their children. We need to work on our math scores, and the realignment of math curriculum that's starting to go in place this year should hopefully help move that needle forward, but we have a lot to do in that area.
Thank you. Mr. Eddy Jackson?
Yeah, so we have an issue with STEM classes in our district where because of declining enrollment, we've lost our funding for our STEM specialists. And so one of the things I plan to do is to prioritize and secure the funding for our STEM classes, certainly K through 6 and throughout all grades in the district. One of the other things I'd like to see the district explore that is done in other districts and charters and private is to provide a half day kindergarten option. I moved my family here from California, and my older 2 children attended a half day kindergarten, and we preferred it. And I think that there's probably a lot of families in the district that might consider that option. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kerry Baker?
Thank you. We are lucky in our district to have so many different programs, so many different student needs. The problem is, and some parents have said this, is that the programs aren't at every school, and a lot of that does come down to funding. Some students don't have access to different programs at their schools, and so again, the district would need to find some sort of way to make everything available to all students. The other thing, like Susan said, was that parents don't always know what is offered. There is such a wide variety of programs. There's, self-contained gifted programs. There's immersion programs. There's different programs for special ed students. And I feel that if the district really advertised and promoted these programs, they would also see an increase in enrollment. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sheryl Evenson.
Although I'm a science teacher and I believe in science and I believe in college, I don't think every student is ready for or needs to attend college. And I love the district CTE program. I actually taught up at the Shadows High School, and we actually bust our kids into this district for the CTE program. I have students who are almost nurses by the time they get to college. We had students with welding. I can remember there was others, and I just feel like we do have a lot of programs. And actually, I'm okay with schools being specialized in that rather than every school and offer every program. I'm okay with schools being specialized, but I really like that CTE program, vocational ed. And I think it's important for students who maybe not be college bound, but are ready for a career when they get out of college or high school.
Thank you. Question 3. What is the role of schools in teaching children about topics that may be deemed beyond the scope of traditional academic concepts, such as social emotional learning? Mr. Eddy Jackson.
I support the basics of the social emotional learning in our classes. The problem is I have 2 kids in elementary school, and they're pulled out of their traditional academics classes too often and too much for social emotional learning. We need to keep the focus on academics in our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Pantera.
Yes, well, anything that goes beyond what might be considered traditional academics, a lot of that actually is put on us by the state legislature. We've got to have programs about anti-suicide, for example, to make sure our students are being safe inside as well as physically in the outside. We need to have these programs. Getting input from the teachers and parents in the district committees on how to set up the best way to address that is my recommendation for that. We reach out more and more to people, and then the programs we design will be better fit for when they actually enacted in the classroom. You can't have students learning if they're afraid to go home or afraid to go to school, whatever it might be. They're not gonna learn that way. If you want the best in academics, you gotta get them whole on the inside as well, on the outside.
Thank you. Ms. Sheryl Evenson?
I'm okay with the basics of it, of certain things. I think parents expect clear and transparency when it comes to things like that. They don't want a surprise that, wait, your teacher said what, or the counselor said what. So I think that these are programs that need to be developed with parent input, with teacher input, maybe counselor input. I am 100% advocate for safe schools. I'm 100% advocate for no bullying in schools. My classroom was always a place where students were accepted and where students were safe. I had students come eat lunch in my classroom because they didn't feel safe eating lunch wherever. So I am an advocate for programs like this, but I think as far as parents go, I think they need to be clear and they need to be transparent.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Matura?
I appreciate that we have our social emotional programs in our classrooms because there are a lot of students who aren't ready to learn when they arrive in our classrooms. And if there are any bullying issues or if there are some tensions between students in the classroom, having that social emotional learning component allows students to learn how to speak to one another, how to treat each other so that they can continue on the day ready to learn. And we need all students ready to learn so they can be receiving the lessons, receiving that math lesson and the English lesson. And also my kids had a social emotional component in their elementary school before it was even something rolled out district wide. And I used to love hearing their little quotes that they would come home with, and I would ask them questions about, well, what did they talk about? And self-talk, up-talking, talking positive about yourself, being prepared for taking tests, taking deep breaths and calming before, not to be stressed during tests. These are all things that students need, and it's things I ask my kids about.
Thank you. Ms. Kerry Baker?
We're responsible for the whole child. So it is in the scope to teach topics beyond the traditional topics of, reading, writing, arithmetic. We need to prepare our students for college, for careers, for being positive members of the community. And so programs like SEL are important to teach kids self-esteem, self-advocacy, self-regulation. Our kids have big emotions. And it is important that we teach them to process through these so that they are more successful adults. They can learn coping skills. These are all tools that we definitely have a responsibility to give our kids as we set them up for success in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. How would you support the district's programs for special education students, immersion, English language learners, and gifted students? Ms. Sheryl Evenson?
With the pandemic came, especially with special ed, almost no support being given to those kids at all. Only when they were at home, they had no support. And I think one of the things I would like to do is redirect funds. We need special ed teachers. Those kids need a lot of services right now. One of my friends is a mentor at a school, and she's actually serving as one of the special ed teachers, and that's not even her job. So we need to get some support for students who learn beyond the traditional classroom, whether it be special ed, whether it be English language learners. And I think that that's one of the things I would like to do, is to give that support and put money in those areas.
Thank you. Mr. Eddy Jackson?
Yeah, so as we discussed earlier, one of the key roles of the board is to set the budget for the district, and I fully support these programs, and I would allocate a budget, vote for a budget that did fully support these programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kerry Baker?
We are lucky in our district to have such a diverse population, whether it's gifted, special ed, ELL, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. And as a board member, when I am voting on policy, helping make decisions, I would absolutely keep each and every one of these students and these student populations in mind as we are going through and setting our budget, setting our staffing. These programs all need to be fully funded. They need to be fully staffed with certified teachers, with experts in the classroom. And that is something that I am passionate about, and I will bring this to the governing board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Pantera.
Thank you. During COVID, I remember teaching at home, trying to get my gifted students up to pace, going like they should. It's very difficult, but it made it quite obvious that there's a big equity problem when that COVID hit. Some people had no access to this kind of information or the technology they needed. And it goes beyond even the COVID situation. We got to make sure all these programs are handled in an equitable manner. Maybe if not some schools having full-time gifted specialists and some only have a half-time. Maybe it should all be full-time. Look at all our programs that way and make sure to do all we can to get our support staff, the people helping the special ed teachers, make sure they get the support they need because they really were under a lot of burden during that COVID time. So yes, support all these programs and keep equity in mind when looking at the whole district with these programs.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Matura.
Thank you. We do have a varied programs across our district, as we've talked about earlier. As a board member, I've been able to get out and see some of these programs in action. I've been able to be in the Twice Exceptional Classroom and see some of the techniques that they're using in those classrooms, be in some of the special education classrooms, and see all of the supports we're offering our students. It's really important that we keep these special ed programs in the forefront of our mind as we are making decisions on the governing board. I find it really helpful when decisions come up, having stories to recall of meeting students, meeting teachers in these programs, and really being aware and keeping that in mind as decisions are made. How is this decision going to affect that student in that special ed class? And not only looking at the general population that we may hear from in the governing board meetings, but really being able to remain focused on those other students that don't necessarily have people speaking for them as often.
Thank you. Question 5. Do you support the M&O? If it does not pass, how would you prioritize the budget? Ms. Kerry Baker.
I 100% support the override. I have gone door to door passing out information about the override. I have shared on social media my support for the override. I have worked in a school district where their override did not pass, and it was hard. The things that our students get in this district, we did not have in the district when their override did not pass. We were more than short-staffed. We were short curriculum. We were short pencils. We were short copy paper. I mean, these are things that our schools need, and these are things that override, because our state does not fully fund education, these are things that we override support. However, in the unfortunate case that it did not pass, I would prioritize people closest to the students, teachers, support staff, cafeteria workers, and then go from there. I would also prioritize things that get kids to school. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sheryl Evenson.
I do support the override. I just told you I worked at Cactus Shadows for a number of years. The K-12 district is notorious for not passing those things. So I just kind of learned to not expect it. But I do support the override. If that money was not there, what I would prioritize is the classroom. We have to put our money there. That's where the students are. That's where the learning is. What I would not prioritize is administration. And I mean across the board administrative and I've worked at schools where I can count, if I think about it, there was 8 secretaries you passed on the way in. I just think that we have way too much fat, I guess, or, time to cut the fat. So I would prioritize the classroom.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Matura.
I'm 100% yes for PV students, and I encourage every one of you to vote yes when you see this on your ballot. It's not going to be on the backside. Please vote yes. We cannot afford to lose funding
for our students. We need this funding to continue our programs. A loss in funding will mean a loss in programming, in people. You will notice the changes. Students will notice this in their classrooms. I would prioritize, wanting to keep the money closest to the students, so they would see the least disruption. However, teachers are going to be seeing a lot of disruption, and as much as we can shield the students from it, there's going to be less support for teachers. There'll be less programming available. With 85% of our budget is people in our district, if we do not pass this budget override, we will be seeing a loss of people, and that's going to be difficult. And as much as we want to keep money in the classroom and more money in the classroom, there's not a lot of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Eddy Jackson?
I support the maintenance and operations override. However, I don't support using M&O override funds to pay lobbyists to lobby against parents' rights like was done this year. I would prioritize the classroom and the teachers. I don't think it's appropriate that at a time when we don't have SROs, school resource officers, at every campus, that we have SEL specialists at every campus. So I would scale back there, and I would also see what cuts can be made through administration and other departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Pantera?
Well, in my long career here at PV, we've had recession, but we've had to make cuts. Okay, this is nothing new. We definitely, first of all, need to have this M&O pass. I gave it really, but if it doesn't pass, I've seen this kind of thing where we've had to make cuts. And it's a team. We're a team. We're a family. Like, how do you tell one kid you're out of family? No, we got to spread these cuts evenly as we can for across the board. Keep the programs in place, take care of the children, make sure they're getting that education they need. But like I said, the classroom comes first, but they need help. We need help in that classroom. We need people doing the things that we can't do. Okay, the day-to-day stuff of the school, riding a kid to school in a bus, all these things are part of the school system. So just to say we're going to keep all of it in the classroom is not realistic. You got to spread it out so that we all see it, and we're all here together with a good feeling about working for this district.
Thank you. Question 6. How would you involve and support stakeholders such as parents, PTOs, PTAs, the UPC, PVEA, PVP, PVSBA, involvement in the district? Ms. Susan Matura.
Like an alphabet soup with all of the, with all of our different acronyms there. It's so important that we hear from all stakeholders in our decisions, and that we are a shared decision-making model in this district. And this is something that I'm really proud of. When decisions are made, that everyone is brought to the table and is made a part of the discussion. So we're hearing from parents, we're hearing from principals, we're hearing from teachers, we're hearing from staff. We need to hear all of these voices all the time. And I think this is something that the district has done well and will continue to do. And I think it's something that we can continue to reach out to all the stakeholder groups and make sure people realize that their voices can be heard among all of the decisions made throughout the district.
Thank you. Ms. Kerry Baker.
Again, with the open dialogue with all the stakeholders, we need to listen to their voices. We need to validate any concerns. We need to meet with them, offer transparency. We need to support our teachers. We need to uphold their bargaining. We can't pay our teachers more given the budget we have, but what we can do is we can let them have a seat at the table. We can talk to them, hear their concerns, uphold their bargaining agreement, make sure that they have the best working conditions we can possibly give them. We need to be able to meet in committees, make sure everyone's involved, and work collaboratively and respectfully with each other to make sure that we are all working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Pantera.
Just the big thing about all these different groups that we're talking about, yes, the board must incorporate them because they're here. There are employees, there are students, there are parents. Of course, we must listen to them. But we must encourage people that are not on these groups, to either be part of these groups or to find out what they want also, because they aren't here, even though we can't put a letter by their name. Okay, and get these different groups to talk to each other, okay, independent of the board being involved. Make sure they're understanding each other's needs and facilitate that, try and make it happen more and more. Find out other social ways and besides mailing and phone calls to let everyone who lives know that there's these avenues where they can make their voice heard, and we will listen to them.
Thank you. Ms. Sheryl Evenson?
So on my website, I have a thought, and I'm calling it, I call it just one day. And I think if parents would take just one day off and go into the classroom, literally pack a lunch, bring your water bottle, and spend just one day in your child's classroom, not 1 hour, not 5 minutes. Put your face in it. But if you spend one day in your child's classroom, I think it would go a long way for those relationships to be formed between parent and teachers. Parents have a huge voice and they're listened to within districts. So I think that if you spend that time in the classroom, you get to know the child's needs, the teacher's needs. I think your voice is so much better than the teacher saying, I need this, but if a parent says, listen, they need that, then it goes a long way. So I would say one of the things I would like to incorporate is just one day, just take a day off and go into the classroom.
Thank you. Mr. Eddy Jackson?
A lot of these groups here do a lot of good things. Unfortunately, recently when our schools were closed, as a response to the pandemic, 70% of the parents surveyed said that they wanted the schools opened. And decisions that were made by leaders in these groups influenced our schools to be closed. We need to elevate parents' voices, and we need to expand the number of parents that are involved in UPC instead of landlocking it to the same group of people that run UPC. That being said, I do think UPC does a lot of great things, but decisions on who serves on committees should not be made by UPC leadership. It should be made by either the cabinet or the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Question 7, our final question. What do you believe differentiates Paradise Valley from other districts? What are your favorite things about the district? Mr. Tony Pantera.
Well, it's going to be hard. I've been here a long time, since 1978. I've seen superintendents come and go. I've seen good times and bad economically. When our district was growing, when it was declining. But the thing that's been a consistent throughout my career here is the collaborative nature of what we do here. People talking to each other. Whatever's broken, the people here together, we're going to find a way to fix it. And we're going to do it together so that everyone can benefit from it. That's one of my favorite things about being in this district. I would try and foster and keep it going. That's why I'm running. I want to make sure that promise that we keep to help each other by talking to each other, listening to each other's stories, and knowing that all of us need to be included. We may not agree on everything, but we're all here, and we're all here for the students. And only through that collaboration and listening that we move forward together.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Matura.
I'm so proud that our district is really a district of students first. And if you go to a teacher's meeting, you'll hear the teachers say that our kids come first. If you go to a district meeting, you'll hear the staff say the kids come first. And so that is the #1 priority in this district. And it's something that we think about all the time. I really appreciate our shared decision-making model that we have and bringing everyone to the table. Our diverse programs that we have throughout the district. We have so many different special education resources and gifted resources and CPE programs, having all of these resources out there for the students and treating and working with the whole child. Some of our PVIS programs, we really are trying to be a student first district, and that's something we will continue to be.
Thank you. Mr. Eddy Jackson.
So sadly, one of the things that differentiates our district is our mishandling of the COVID response. This district has long been a destination district where kids transfer into out of Cave Creek, out of Deer Valley, out of Scottsdale to come to PV. And many of those kids have left. And so that's one of the things that we need to fix. We need to rebuild trust in our community to bring those kids back to our schools.
Thank you. Thank you all. We will now proceed to part 3 of the program. This is the candidates closing statement section. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Miss Kerry Baker.
So having taught in another school district and having kids attend school in another district, I can say that when I came here, what really differentiated this district from the other one was the programs we offer. It was the strength of the teachers and how the teachers are more supported and supportive. There was, the access that my kids had to curriculum and, like I said, the programs, the choir, my kids go to Pinnacle and they have their choir teacher is just so passionate. But the other thing that I've always really appreciated about this district is how our board operates. They are thoughtful, they are measured, they listen to science and they listen to data and they make their decisions with the students and the teachers in mind. And I just want to perpetuate that as a governing board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sheryl Evenson.
So I retired in 2018. In 2018, there was this thing called Red for Ed, if you remember. I was not in this district, but my daughter was a senior at Pinnacle High School. She sent me videos of parents in their red shirts on all 4 corners of Pinnacle High School as far as you could see. When we were driving to Red for Ed, there were parents on the corner of Tatum and Deer Valley with their signs and clapping and you go. And I thought, what a neat district that the parents understand the needs of a teacher. And as a teacher, not in the district, I was a little jealous, what did I say? But the parents just understand. They work with teachers. They will collaborate with teachers. I told you I was a cheer mom. I knew the cheer coach. I worked with all of them. And I just really appreciate the collaborative effort between parents and teachers in this district.
Thank you. We will now proceed to part 3 of the program. My apologies. Thank you all. It's time for our candidates to give their closing statements in reverse order from the opening remarks. Each will have 1 minute, and we will begin with Mr. Eddy Jackson.
Thank you. This election is vital for the future of our district. Ask yourself, is the district heading in the right direction, or can we do better? It's time to elect parents with a vested interest in our district. Please go to parentsforpv.com, follow us on Facebook, and vote Jackson, Farr, and Christensen in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Pantera.
My wife and I were in New Zealand, Christchurch, New Zealand, a couple of weeks ago. We're standing by this fountain looking at it. And boom, something hit me in the leg. I looked down, there's a 3 or 4-year-old kid hugging my leg, smiling up at me. I smiled back, and they ran back to their parents. You know, kids do that, right? And it got me to thinking, now being a candidate, best for PV candidate, wouldn't it be great if all our kids in our district, 3rd grade, 5th grade, middle school, high school, wouldn't it be great if they knew that every single staff member, teacher, person they encountered in their district, they felt that same feeling. That person's got my back. That person has my best interest in mind and feels safe. Even more so than they do now. That's the kind of district I want to promote and keep here in PV. That's the promise that my children had when they were here, and I want to extend that promise, because they have that feeling like that child did.
Thank you. Ms. Sheryl Evenson.
So I was reading a comment on Twitter or something the other day, and somebody said, regular people don't have a voice anymore. And I thought, that's why I'm running. I'm a regular person. I collected my own signatures. I raised my own money. I am not endorsed by the far left or the far right. I am an independent voice. I was a teacher for 25 years. I was a parent in this district from girls from elementary all the way through college or through high school. And I'm just a regular person running because I believe in this district. I believe in public schools. I don't want to dismantle them. I don't want to get rid of public schools. I am a regular person who is doing this. I'm retired. I'm doing this for your kids, not mine. Mine are done. But I have a passion for students, I have a passion for teachers, and I have a passion for the classroom. And the reason that I'm running is because I'm a regular person who wants to put classroom first.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Matura?
I would love to earn your vote. I intend to support students and educators through collaboration, keep the focus on every learner, and have positive and effective communication with all stakeholders, the families, the teachers, the staff, the students, and the community at large. I am endorsed by the PV Fund for Children, which is comprised of PV's teachers and staff members, and by the Arizona Latino School Board Association, and by Save Our Schools. I am passionate about our district. I would love to continue to support Paradise Unified School District in this capacity. Again, I'm Susan Matura, a Best for PV candidate, and you can learn more about me at bestforpv.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kerry Baker?
I've always been proud to live in Paradise Valley Unified School District, and I want to be part of our district's continued success. As a governing board member, I will help with policy that prepares all of our students to succeed in career, college, and community. However, as someone who grew up in public schools, taught in public schools, and has kids in public schools, I understand what Arizona is facing in education right now. I see attacks on education, on teachers, and the funneling of money away from already underfunded schools. Hurtful and hateful rhetoric, along with extremism, has no place in our schools, has no place on our governing board. As a candidate endorsed by the Paradise Valley Fund for Children, Save Our Schools, and Moms Demand Action, I have shown I am dedicated to the students and teachers in this district. When we have a strong board, we have stronger public schools, and stronger public schools mean a stronger community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates for your participation and to you, the audience, for your attention. Again, thank you to UPC for organizing this event and inviting the League of Women Voters to moderate the event. The League invites you to explore vote411.org and to learn more about the elections, candidates, and ballot measures. And remember, your vote is your voice. Election day is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, and ends promptly at 7 p.m. Tuesday, October 11th is the last day to register to vote. The League of Women Voters encourages every voter to get informed and to vote all the way down your ballot. If you need information on how to finish your ballot, go to vote411.org. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and please drive home carefully. Thank you.